The night was heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and gunpowder. Private Samuel Carter huddled against the rough bark of an old oak, his rifle trembling in his hands more from anticipation than the cold. The camp behind him was silent, save for the occasional murmur of sentries and the distant cry of a whippoorwill. He tightened his grip and scanned the darkened woods, every shadow a possible enemy, every rustle a potential threat. Samuel had been a farm boy in Ohio, used to the predictable rhythm of planting and harvesting. War had brought him to a world of unpredictability, and tonight, on the eve of Shiloh, the unknown weighed heavier than any plow he had ever lifted. He remembered the soft hands of his mother, the laughter of his sister, the promise of a future with Margaret, the girl who had waved at him from the porch, unaware that he might never return. He breathed in slowly, trying to calm the storm inside him. "Keep your eyes sharp, Carter," he whispered to himself. One night and then maybe." But the thought of maybe brought no comfort. The wind moved through the trees, carrying whispers of movement that may have been friend or foe. Samuel's mind wandered, replaying the letters he had received from home. "Stay safe, Samuel. Remember who you fight for," his mother had written, words that seemed both comforting and painfully distant. He touched the envelope in his breast pocket, feeling the smooth paper, the faint scent of home. His fellow soldiers dozed in tents nearby, their faces pale in the flickering lamplight. Some snored, others stared into the dark, eyes wide with the same fear Samuel felt gnawing at his chest. He felt the solitude of his watch, as though the world itself had shrunk to this single patch of forest and the uneasy truce between men and night. A branch cracked nearby. Samuel stiffened. His heart thudded in his ears, drowning out the soft hum of distant frogs. He crouched lower, scanning for movement. Nothing. Yet the sense of danger did not leave. As he sat, the memories came unbidden. Mornings spent chasing chickens, evenings by the fireplace listening to his father's stories of battles long past, and nights under a starlit sky, imagining the life he would build with Margaret. The contrast was unbearable. Here he was, a soldier standing watch in the dark, while just 100 miles away, life carried on, oblivious to the storm about to break. He whispered into the night, "I'll see it through. I have to." The words felt hollow, but repetition lent them weight. Shadows moved again, and Samuel imagined ghosts of the past. Men who had walked this same earth, fought the same battles, and never returned. The wind carried a distant echo of a bugle, or perhaps it was only his imagination. Either way, it tightened his chest with a cold anxiety. Hours passed. The night dragged its slow, agonizing march across the sky. Samuel's eyes burned, his muscles ached, but he remained vigilant. Somewhere in the distance, a fox barked. Somewhere else, a drumbeat, perhaps the first whispers of morning. The forest seemed alive, watching, waiting. He thought of his comrades, young men from Ohio, Tennessee, and Kentucky, each carrying the same fragile hope, the same secret terror. And then he thought of himself, not as a soldier, but as Samuel, the boy from the farm, clinging to the memory of home. The first pale light touched the horizon. Shadows retreated, revealing shapes among the trees. Samuel's pulse quickened. This night of solitude was ending, and with dawn would come the chaos he could only imagine, but not yet see. Dawn broke over Shiloh like a reluctant sigh. Samuel's eyes strained to discern movement in the thinning fog. Birds sang, seemingly indifferent to the human fear below. He felt a tremor of anticipation, the moment when life might change irrevocably. The men stirred in the camp, tension replacing sleep. Orders came down the line. Samuel adjusted his grip on the rifle, feeling the coarse wood beneath his fingers, grounding him. "Stay steady," he muttered. "Just stay steady." A shot rang out, then another. The fog erupted in noise. Samuel's ears rang with the sudden violence of battle. Men screamed, horses neighed, cannons boomed. Time fractured, moments stretched. Samuel ran forward, driven by training, by fear, by something primal that demanded survival. He glimpsed comrades falling, faces etched with terror and courage alike. Samuel felt his stomach twist. He shouted, fired, moved, all without thought. The chaos consumed him, yet a small part of him watched, a witness to horror that would haunt him forever. Amidst the thunder of guns, Samuel recalled the letters in his breast pocket. He had torn one open in the night, reading words that now seemed impossibly distant. He pictured Margaret's smile, the safe warmth of his home. A strange clarity struck him. This battle was not just for land or orders, but for the lives and futures waiting elsewhere. A comrade fell beside him. Samuel barely had time to register it before moving on. Yet in that fleeting moment, he thought, I must live. For her, for them, for me. The trees became a labyrinth, each shadow a threat. Samuel moved through the woods, heart hammering, mind a storm of fear and instinct. Bullets whistled past, smoke thickened. And yet, amidst the chaos, he noticed moments of strange beauty. A deer fleeing the battlefield, the sun breaking through clouds, a bird lifting from a branch as though carrying hope on its wings. These fragments of normalcy made him ache for home, but also steeled him against despair. He whispered, one step at a time, one step. Through the smoke, Samuel saw them, Confederate soldiers, young, terrified, and determined. Their eyes met his for a brief instant. In that moment, all the politics, the flags, the causes, melted away. They were men, caught in the same storm. Samuel felt a pang of pity and fear. Then the moment passed, and the war claimed them again. He pressed on, knowing that survival depended not on thought or pity, but on action, on courage, on sheer stubbornness. By late morning, the battlefield had transformed into a place Samuel hardly recognized. Smoke hung like a dense shroud, curling around the trees and tents, carrying the scent of gunpowder, sweat, and fear. The cries of men echoed endlessly, punctuated by the roar of cannon fire. Samuel's heart pounded like a drumbeat in his chest, each step forward a defiance against the chaos surrounding him. He ducked behind a fallen log, rifle ready, eyes scanning every movement. Each shadow could conceal friend or foe. His hands shook, but he forced himself to breathe evenly. Survival demanded discipline, focus, and a strange clarity that only came in moments when life and death pressed together. Around him, soldiers moved with a blend of frantic instinct and rigid training. Some fell, others pushed forward, all carrying the same heavy, invisible burden, the knowledge that this day might claim them. Samuel thought of Margaret, of his mother, of the home he had left behind. He whispered under his breath, I'm still here. I have to be. Amidst the roar, Samuel found a brief lull behind a shattered fence. He sank to his knees, taking a moment to grasp the enormity of the day. The battlefield stretched before him, like a living thing, unpredictable and merciless. He pulled out the letter he had read the night before, worn at the edges from his fingers. Reading Margaret's words once more, he felt a surge of courage. The war was a storm, but in these moments, he realized that love, hope, and memory were shields stronger than any armor. A comrade shouted for help nearby. Samuel froze, listening, Instinct and empathy collided within him. He wanted to run toward the cry, to help. Yet reason warned that moving recklessly could mean death. The war demanded hard choices, and even small actions could carry irreversible consequences. The afternoon brought no relief. Waves of soldiers surged across fields, pushing, falling, retreating, and advancing again. Samuel's body ached from fatigue, but adrenaline pushed him forward. Each encounter was a test of nerve. Each glance into the smoke, each sound of musket fire, reminded him of the fragility of life. At one point, he stumbled across a small clearing, where the bodies of men from both sides lay tangled in a silent testament to bravery and horror alike. Samuel's stomach churned. He bent over and offered a whispered prayer, not for victory, not for the flag, but for the men, living and dead. The moment was almost unbearable, yet in its raw humanity, Samuel felt a connection to something larger than himself. Through the haze, Samuel heard a faint call. Friend or foe, he could not tell. He pressed forward cautiously, senses sharp. Each step was calculated, each breath deliberate. The air was thick with uncertainty, but also with a strange, grim beauty. The sun breaking through smoke in streaks of gold. The wind carrying the distant cries of those still fighting. He found a wounded comrade, pale and shivering, trapped under a fallen tree branch. Samuel's hands moved instinctively, lifting, dragging, saving. The man looked at him with eyes full of gratitude and fear. "Go, don't stay," he whispered. Samuel hesitated, torn between the impulse to linger and the knowledge that the battlefield offered no safety. He let the man go with a nod, promising silently to survive, not for glory, not for cause, but for the countless faces waiting at home. As dusk approached, Samuel's vision blurred from exhaustion, smoke, and tears. The sounds of battle had shifted. The sharp staccato of musket fire gave way to sporadic volleys, punctuated by cries and the groan of the earth disturbed by war. He stumbled to a ridge overlooking the field. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows that twisted like specters. Samuel realized that the battle, though not yet finished, had left its mark on him, deep, unerasable. He thought of the night before, of the solitary watch he had kept, and of the quiet moments of reflection amidst horror. A strange calm settled over him. For a fleeting moment, he allowed himself to imagine life beyond this battlefield, beyond the smoke and the noise. A home, a family, a future that seemed almost unattainable, yet worth the struggle. Samuel crouched by a tree, rifle resting against the trunk. The sun vanished behind clouds, leaving the battlefield in muted twilight. Around him, the war still raged in sporadic bursts, yet there was a sense that the day was ending, though no one could claim victory yet. He closed his eyes briefly, imagining Margaret's face, the soft rhythm of the farm, the simple joys of life, that once seemed mundane, but now shone like fragile treasures. "I will see another sunrise," he whispered to himself, unsure if it was a promise or a prayer. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying a faint echo of the first night, soft, uncertain, but alive. Samuel remained vigilant. The last watch at Shiloh, now not just a duty, but a symbol of endurance, hope, and the fragile thread that separated life from oblivion. As darkness fell completely, he lifted his rifle, eyes scanning, heart steady, and waited. The outcome was unknown. The war would continue. And somewhere, beyond the smoke, beyond the fear, the boy from Ohio would carry this night with him forever. The battlefield was quiet now, but the story was far from over.